Hi everyone, this is Vivian with Vivid Luster Factory. Today we are working on the DIY kit for November 2021, which is hand painted, personalized and customized flour sack kitchen towels. You will receive 3 in every kit. First thing you're going to do is open them up. They're folded into 4s due to their size, so we're going to change that to 3rds. Take a note of where the tag is on the flour sack towel and put that towards the back. Flip the front over. You can make it perfectly perfect, or you can say it's a handmade gift and it doesn't matter. Okay. All right, we've got all 3 of our towels refolded into 3rds and then halves. You will receive 3 pieces of cardboard in your kit. You're going to place them inside underneath the front layer of every flour sack towel, and you can decide if you want it hanging, if you want your design in the middle, lower, higher, that's completely up to you. Okay. Alrighty, if you have, I'm reusing a piece of cardboard there. Don't always count on the placement of the folds in the fabric. They can be off-centered an inch or so on any of these products. Okay, everybody gets a piece of transfer paper. Now, I am reusing a transfer paper I've been using all day. Yours is going to be a clear piece of plastic on a white backing. You're going to pull the paper backing off. You'll stick it to any surface that might put a little lint on it, your t-shirt, your sweatpants, your PJs. Getting a little lint will help it release the stencil onto the towel. We're going to lay the transfer paper on top. If you don't have to try to be perfect and keep it straight. It may help you visually when you're placing it to have it straight. If a wrinkle should happen, as long as it doesn't wrinkle the actual stencil, which would be the gray plastic here, most likely it'll be the gray vinyl in your kit as well, but it may be a different color than gray. I'm just pressing it all down. You can do this with your hand. If you take some extra time, it may be more difficult with your fingers. Using a business card, a credit card, a hotel key card, any of those things will help press it down. Then we're going to pull the paper backing off of the stencil and leave the stencil connected to the transfer paper. It's always best if you can press it back down on itself. That way you see right away when something is coming up. And you can just press it back down and keep moving forward. Okay. Always check for the centers of text letters. Alrighty, and you can discard the paper from the back of the transfer paper as well as the back of the vinyl. If you would like to ensure that you get it straight in the middle or as close to that as possible for a handmade item, I would suggest centering your white piece of cardboard behind there. That's the one thing that you know you can trust is 8x8 square, because I cut it to be that way. So I would ignore any lines in the fabric and work specifically with the white cardboard square. And you can use the bottom of the stencil and the bottom of that cardboard to make it feel like they are even or parallel, nice and parallel with each other. Okay, then I'm gonna press right up the middle and then out to the sides. If you find that it went down a little crooked, I don't think you should worry about that. Handmade gifts always have a little bit of character of the artist in them. Now we are gonna go ahead and do one more press down. And slowly pull this transfer paper off the front. You'll find that this gets easier and easier the more debris that the transfer paper has on it. Okay. And then you set your transfer paper over to the side and do one more good press. It's gonna help create nice sharp lines for you. Going to go ahead and place the second stencil. So again, I'm going to figure out where I want my square cardboard piece. Custom and personalized stencil. If you book into a Crafts and Crafts workshop and you pre-book more than 48 hours out, I will make you a custom design stencil for $5 each. With as many printings of the stencil as you would like. So it's only $5 each for the designing of the stencil. I'll make the same design for 2 or 3 of your flour sack towels included in that $5, but every additional design after that will be another $5. If I am making the customization at an event, it may be more than that, depending on what kind of traffic we've got at the time. It's hard for me to step away from an event and make a custom design stencil, but it's not impossible. Alrighty. If you have ordered this to be shipped, then before I shipped it, I chatted with you about the $5 customization that you get. And I have thousands of fonts and hundreds of thousands of images. So you could literally come up with almost anything and I'd be able to make you a stencil. Again, we're going to fold this and set a crease in the middle just to give us a line to go off of. And I'm also going to use the bottom of the cardboard. Again, press up the middle and out to the sides. And that's going to give you your best chance for having it straight. This kit comes with your choice of paint colors. Again, if it's ordered, if you are at an Crafts and Crafts event with me in the greater Houston area, you'll get options for paint. I'll have them. Just come to my table if you didn't get what you wanted. All right. And on to the last one. Over here, locate our white square back there. Okay. You can set these up any way that you would like them. You can paint them all, give them 10 minutes or so and remove all the stencils at once. You can paint one, set it aside, paint the other, remove the stencil from this one, then paint this one, then remove the stencil from this one. There's enough time in that process as well. I'm going to go ahead and paint them all pretty quickly just so I can show you a few different ways that you can choose to paint these. Go ahead and take that credit card you've got or driver's license or anything and give it one good press, another good press down. If you see any areas where the wrinkles are changing the look of the vinyl, double check to make sure that your cardboard is still behind your stencil. At this time, it doesn't matter if it's straight or not. All right, and we are going to start with painting it all one color because that's very quick. You want to make sure that you have a dry brush. This paint is a thick fabric paint, so color remaining in your brush is not as big a problem as adding water to it. If you add water to it, you're going to run the risk of it bleeding outside of the stencil. And I'm going to lay down, I've got not a huge amount, but I'm going to move very quickly and try not to leave any piles of paint on the fabric. I'll be careful to touch all the edges of the letters. Go all the way to the tops of the letters, but don't go over the outside of the gray stencil. Go all the way to the bottom of the letters. Make sure you can really see every edge of every letter. You're going to look for little white spots remaining so that you know where you can fill in with the ink. Okay. I do move quite quickly because I can always add paint and go back. But if you put down too much paint and it bleeds outside the stencil, you can't undo that. Now don't let that get you discouraged because handmade things have our fingerprint and our gesture as artists in them all the time. You can also consider leaving some of the white if you like a weathered and worn look. It actually looks pretty neat like that. However, if you want it to look very crisp and very clean, I would wait 10 minutes or so and give it another thin layer. All right, so that one is down. You can be a little rough with your brush. As you can see, this brush is really taking a beating this morning. Now let's do an ombre effect, and let's do red and green. So decide where you're going to change, where the ombre is going to be, and I'm going to go ahead and make it happen starting in the middle of these bottles and bringing it to the middle of this text, okay? So I'm going to start with red on top because whenever I see the words Dear Santa, in my mind, they are always red. And again, I'm working very quickly to smear out all of this paint that I just laid down so there's no big globs sitting anywhere. All right, I'm gonna just work this a little bit with the red. And then I'm gonna try to get as much of the red ink off my brush over here on my napkin. Just a touch of green, just a little bit of green on that brush. and working very quick. I don't want this color to go, that's mixed, to go very far. I think that I don't want to, because this gray color it makes is not my favorite thing. I'm going to actually stop the ombre pretty quickly so that I can move on to just the rest of it being green. I like the much bolder colors. So I will go over this. Oh, look, I got a little bit outside of the stencil, but it's not a big deal. It happens. We just need to be a little more careful. Go back to the red just a little bit here and try to brighten this color, this mixed color up a little bit. Not a fan of it, but I think that that does what I want it to do a little bit better. Putting the red on top of the green. Maybe I can bring it down like I was originally thinking. Okay, I don't hate that. Alrighty, so this is the solid color option that you can do. This is an ombre. If you want to do something much more intricate where you are painting each letter or painting designs inside of each letter, that's definitely up to you. I'll do my best to lead you through that. Just reach out to me. This one, we're going to paint the lines different colors. So I'm going to start with the green because that's what I chose. And again, we're working pretty quick here, shoving it all around, making sure that I'm not going into these letters down here because they're going to be a different color. However, this paint, again, is very thick and will go over pretty much any color. If it's not wet, it won't smear like that. So if you do get it in another text that you didn't want it in, just let it dry and put the appropriate color over it in a few minutes. And 10 minutes is definitely sufficient for that. Okay. Making sure that you dry that paintbrush up as much as you can between every layer, every time you get it wet. Adding water to this paint is what will allow the paint to bleed outside of the stencil edges. So I found that out the hard way, and I'm happy to be able to share that tip with you. Okay, moving right along quickly. Again, drying the brush every time. We're gonna change to red. Oops, I got into the black there. Definitely want to clean that up off my brush. Take a little extra care. Okay. Sometimes you gotta slow down. Oops, did it again. I think that'll be okay though. And last but not least, we're going to paint the word beer and the beer bottle brown. You do not have to follow these specific directions. You may not have these specific color stencils to work with. If you meet me up at a Crafts and Crafts event, then I will have some alcohol themed stencils, as well as just some standard holiday stencils, and also some monogrammable stencils, so that even included with the price of the kit, you can still customize and make something personalized if you would like, without accruing the extra cost of the custom design. All right, so we've got these done. Now we're going to use the 4 paper clips and the toothpick if necessary. What I'm going to do is get a hold of the cardboard and the fabric, and I'm going to place a paper clip at each side. This is just going to help hold the fabric down while you pull the stencil off of it. It protects it from a few of the mistakes that have happened to me, if you can just hold it down a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go to one corner and start pulling up, and then I work my way around the edges towards the center, holding the fabric down with one hand, pulling the stencil off with the other hand. If you leave behind portions of the stencil, that's to be expected, especially in the center of the text or any pieces remaining in the images. Okay, and this is can be discarded when you're done. Now we can pull these clips off, and you can use the toothpick if you need. I find that it's very easy to just kind of hold the material and pull with the other hand. But the toothpick may help you get that started if you need to. If you feel anything on, like any paint, come onto your fingers, you want to wash them off. Do not keep working on this step until your hands are dry and your fabric paint is dry. toothpick may help get some of the design up if it's too small to really grab it with your finger. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind out there, but I think fall just arrived in Texas. Then you can remove your cardboard insert, set it to the side, and allow this to dry for at least 10 hours. And we'll move right on to the next one. Again, this is fabric paint, so it's gonna stand up in the in a washing machine. However, you do want to give it a 72-hour cure time before it's washed. I would say 24 hours before it's packed is probably sufficient, but if you're not in a hurry, then leave them unpacked. You'll see with the DIY kit, this month you also get gift wrapping so that you can give someone the gift of your hand-painted masterpiece. So I am working with some wet paint here, and I'm just being very careful. If you feel like your paint is wet, please just give it 5 or 10 more minutes. You will be much happier with the outcome. I am leaning on my experience here just to get this all done in one take video. As you can see, I'm getting some of that paint on my hands, so I'm going to want to be really careful. this point, you can remove the cardboard backing. Set it to the side and allow it to dry. Yeah, that one's definitely wet. I'm gonna want to be really careful there. I think this one's my favorite. I think I would be voted this in my family. This stencil and design was made just for me. Okay, so you guys get the gist. After that, you just let it dry for 72 hours. And again, there's the gift wrap in the kit so you can wrap it up and put it under someone's Christmas tree. Thanks again for doing a DIY kit with me. See you soon.